So last night was the last night that it's gonna happen, right? Bad night's sleep, can't get to sleep, constantly having this problem. You see all those people on those mattress commercials, they're just laying down, just having a great night's sleep. I hate those people. Maybe I shouldn't hate those people. It's not very nice. But I hate those people because they're sleeping and I'm not. There's a bunch of jerks. So on this video, I'm gonna teach you how to sleep like those jerks. Hi, my name is Jesse Coomer and I'm a personal trainer and a breathwork coach. And sleep has always been something that's eluded me. So it's led me to do a lot of research on my own and a lot of experimentation. So in this video, I'm gonna cover some evidence-based tips that not only do they work for the masses whenever there's been research done, but these are things that I use in my own regular everyday practice that help me get to sleep deeply, and wake up the next morning feeling refreshed. 3 things I'm gonna be teaching you in this video are: 1, how to create bottom-up signals so that your autonomic nervous system knows that it's time to go to bed. 2, I'm gonna teach you some breathing techniques that will give you top-down signals, basically your way of consciously telling your body it's time to go to sleep. And then I'm gonna give you some tips on how to breathe and how to make sure that you're sleeping deeply throughout the night so you wake up refreshed. The autonomic nervous system is a part of our nervous system that governs basically automatic functions. So our heart rate, our digestion, things like that. Now, it's governed by a couple things, but the primary thing is bottom-up influences. Now, what bottom-up influences are, these are cues from our environment that tell us what state we should be in. Now, if you're not familiar with the autonomic nervous system, there are 2 basic states, and one is the sympathetic dominant side. Many people call the sympathetic dominant side the fight or flight side, and if you're a nerd like me, you might be interested in talking to other nerds about, should we really call this the fight or flight side? But for now, let's just call it the fight or flight side, the sympathetic dominant side. And then there's the other one, the one we want to get to when we're going to sleep, and that is the parasympathetic dominant side. We often call that one the state of rest and digest. Well, the problem is the average modern human being is stuck in a state of fight or flight. And we don't often understand how our actions, our environment actually is sending signals to our autonomic nervous system that we should stay in that state of fight or flight. So what we need to do is figure out how to do bottom-up signaling to signal to our nervous system, hey, you're safe, because you don't, obviously, your autonomic nervous system doesn't want you to go to sleep in an unsafe place, right? Your nervous system is trying to protect you, and you're just like, well, I don't care, dude, I want to get to sleep, right? And I'm with you on that. But the thing is, I want you to understand that there's the things that are keeping you awake are things that are trying to protect you. So we need to send signals from the bottom up, and by bottom up, I mean environmental signals that tell our nervous system, specifically our autonomic nervous system, hey, you are in a safe place. You're in a place where you should be able to go to sleep. You can switch over from being in that state of fight or flight, where you have all these stress hormones, adrenaline, all of these inner chemicals that keep you awake, and we need to switch over to get basically the flip side of the autonomic nervous system so that we can get a good night's sleep. So the first thing we need to think about is our sleeping environment and how we prepare to go to sleep. In the modern world, we have an abundance of artificial light, and this is not something that our autonomic nervous system is designed to understand. In the earliest days, it was great because, hey, we had daytime, we had nighttime. When it was nighttime, we went to sleep. When it was daytime, we were awake. And so these are the same cues that your body is trying to decipher when it's deciding, well, should I go to sleep or not? For some people, we're more sensitive than others. So whenever you know, okay, I need to go to sleep, I'm trying to go to sleep at this certain time, it's really important to give yourself as little light as possible, as little artificial light as possible. Now, this may be very difficult in the modern world, but there's a few things we can do. And these look funny, but one of the best things I can advise you to do is get some of these blue blocking sunglasses. And it makes the whole world look orange, or you can also get the red kind. There's a bunch of different brands out there. They don't have to be these really fancy brands. literally, as long as you're blocking the blue light, you're blocking the light that your body is interpreting as sunlight. And it's the sunlight that tells our body and mind to, okay, it's still daytime, don't go to sleep. So we need to block that light. So that's really important. In addition to that, try to avoid this, right? Try to avoid screen time. Screen time is going to boost your dopamine, which is not going to help you sleep. Dopamine essentially makes us want to continue some kind of action, and it's the opposite of what we want when we're trying to relax. So try to avoid, and you already know this, right? We already know this, but let me just tell you, it's backed with science, and if you try this and you stick to it, it will work. Try to avoid screen time. Try to avoid computer screen time. All the screen time that we have, try to avoid that, especially an hour before bed. Try to get into a state based off of your environment that puts you in a good place to go to sleep. Lastly, you want to think about your temperature. So there's a few different things that we can do to cue our bodies to go to sleep, and one of them is temperature. Naturally, in ancient times, it would get cooler at night whenever it's time to go to sleep. Again, a bottom-up signal that tells you you are ready to go to sleep. So there's a few different ways we can go about this. One is you can take a hot shower before going to bed. If you take a hot shower before you go to bed, your body will overcompensate and it will cool. Actually, you literally will cool your body down by doing this. And so what you do is you essentially are cueing your body by, strangely enough, cooling it down before going to bed. Now, if you take this hot shower approximately 30 minutes, maybe 15 minutes before bed, it's ideal, but sometime in the hour before you go to bed is pretty much, that's kind of the sweet spot. You don't want to take it so far in advance that you miss out on the effects. You want to be getting into bed and you want to still be feeling warm from that shower. And I know it sounds weird to say that a hot shower is going to cool your body down, but it will. Now, another thing that you can do is you can also just reduce the temperature in the room. And this can be very effective, and it's been shown to put a person into a deeper state of sleep than they would normally have in a warmer room. There are things like the chili pad, which I'll link below, which is something you can put on your bed to reduce your body temperature, or you can set your temperature much lower than normal. Now, the problem is if you live with a family and they complain, which that's my particular situation, it may just be that you need to think about the hot shower or the chili pad or something like that. But ideally, you can set the temperature much lower than normal. Generally, for instance, in the United States, 72 is room temperature. Generally, around 65 to 60 is kind of like the ideal zone, but everyone's gonna be a little bit different. For me, my family does allow me to set my temperature down to 68 Fahrenheit, and which is this Celsius. And what that does is it does kind of reduce the temperature at night. Everybody gets a better night's sleep, and they don't complain that it's too cold. Okay, so now let's assume you've created an environment that sends those bottom-up signals to your autonomic nervous system that you're in a safe place, that it's time to go to bed. You've sent all those signals are being sent to your brain. Now, how can we even nudge it even further so you get a better night's sleep? Well, we can send top-down signals. And what that means is we can send conscious signals to our autonomic nervous system to calm down, to rest, to put us in that relaxed state. So how do we do this? There's a breathing technique that I'm going to teach you. It's very simple, and it's all done through the nose, and we're going to be breathing down into the belly. Now, whenever I say down to the belly, I'm basically saying you're going to want to try to shoot for pretty much your belly button, okay? And you're not breathing with your chest, just the belly. And you're going to breathe in through your nose and then out through your nose or out through your mouth, whichever you prefer. And you're going to breathe in for 4 counts, and you're going to breathe out for 6 counts. And then if you can do 8 counts in a relaxed way, that's even better. So again, it will be in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what we do is we repeat this breathing down, only down into the belly, not into the chest. We're gonna repeat this for 5 to 10 minutes. I do 10 minutes every night. If you do at least 5 minutes, for most people, that will switch you over into a state of rest and digest. But for me, I don't know why, I need about 10 minutes to get me into that really nice, deep state. Okay, so now you have sent bottom-up signals, you've sent top-down signals, you should be ready. Now the first thing you're gonna wanna do is this, right? And I'm here to say, don't do that, okay? You're gonna ruin it. You're gonna ruin everything if you do this. Don't you wanna sleep like those jerks? Don't you wanna sleep like those jerks in the commercials? Then stop, put it away, stop it, okay? Because this is gonna ruin all of the hard work that you've put into this good night's sleep. So, I'm just gonna throw it away or just something like that. And then we're gonna continue. So let's just assume that you didn't succumb to the temptation to look at your phone. Okay, you've done a little breathing after you've primed yourself with the proper environment. It's time to lay down. Okay, great. Now, the biggest problem that people have when it comes to breathing and sleeping deeply is that they are mouth breathers. And I know a lot of people don't even realize they're mouth breathers. If you wake up and you have a dry mouth, you're a mouth breather. I'm sorry that I have to be the person to tell this to you, but it's true. You're a mouth breather and we need to fix this. Now, this is something that takes time to completely fix. So I don't want you to think that, okay, I need to fix this overnight. But literally, your mouth breathing is ruining your sleep. It is sending, remember we talked about those top-down signals with our breathing? We just did a whole breathing exercise with top-down signals. Well, sadly enough, when you are a mouth breather, you're also sending top-down signals to your autonomic nervous system. And the problem is, those are signals that are saying, we're not in a safe place, we're being chased by a bear, and we need all kinds of stress hormones, adrenaline and dopamine. And those are the things that are keeping you awake at night. And even if you get to sleep, even if you're getting to sleep, you're not getting the kind of rest that you deserve, okay? You're not sleeping as deeply as those jerks in the commercial. And so you deserve to sleep a lot better than that. So what we need to do is we need to stop our mouth breathing. So there's a few different techniques. One of the most popular is to tape your lips shut. And of course I can't do that because, well, it would be one hell of a morning. But one thing I can do is, let's see here, I can take a pillow and I can put the pillow right here, okay? I can put the pillow up against my chin and kind of, as I'm sleeping, I can have that pillow there just as a reminder not to open my mouth, okay? Now another thing you can do, you can tape the sides. Some people are just like, they're a little freaked out. I don't blame you. It's a little weird to tape your mouth shut. Some people can tape just the sides, and it's not going to be as big of a weird, creepy thing if you wake up and it's, you at least have a little bit of an opening. Some people can just tape just this little part here, and it's just enough of a reminder, hey, don't breathe through your mouth. But believe me, mouth breathing is probably the #1 reason why you're not getting a deep night's sleep, if that is the problem. And for most people, they have really light sleep. And that was my issue. Whenever eventually I did get to sleep, I would sleep really light and I wasn't getting that deep recuperative sleep. A lot of good things happen when we're in a deep sleep or a REM sleep. And if we don't get to those states quite as often, we don't get the benefits of those states. So remember, we're breathing in and out through our nose only as we sleep, and that's gonna give you a much deeper sleep. Oh, okay. I don't know what you're gonna say right now. Jesse, I don't have time for all of this. I don't have time. I just gotta get straight to bed. I gotta get to sleep and I gotta, all this stuff. And wait a minute. I'm just gonna remind you why you clicked on this video in the first place. You remember last night? Just take a minute. Remember last night. Do you remember all that time you were not asleep? You got time. You have the time, okay? What you need to do is make the decision. I'm going to use this amount of time to get to sleep. And really, I will tell you this, as a person I'm just kind of a lazy person anyway, it is something that really becomes part of your daily routine, and it's not really that hard to do. And I know you're like, well, 5 to 10 minutes of breath work, how do you do that? Believe me, 5 to 10 minutes is nothing compared to the amount of time you're losing whenever you can't get to sleep. Okay? it's just really no comparison. The hot shower before you go to bed, hey, take one for the team. It's a nice, enjoyable hot shower. It's not the end of the world. These things actually do add up and they do work, but you have to let them work. So, and I know some of these things may not be perfect for everybody, but they generally, if this has worked for me, and it can really work for you. Now, another thing that sometimes these things, they don't work quite as well as other times. And for that reason, there are some supplements that I do recommend. One of the supplements that you can't really find, you can only find in certain places on the planet. Fortunately, I live in one of those places. One of those things is kava kava. Kava kava is an herb that it actually is on a banned list in a lot of countries. And this is because it's possible to abuse kava kava. You should never drink alcohol and use kava kava at the same time, because there has been some research that shows if you do that, you can really cause harm to your liver. I have used kava kava ever since I was a teenager, and I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but believe me, I've been using it for a little bit over 20 years, and I have never had any liver problems. But the thing is, I've never used it with alcohol before, and I've used high amounts of kava kava. So kava kava is a really good one that I recommend. It's fast acting. It's a great way to relax, and it's something that's not habit forming or addictive. It is something that I would recommend checking with your doctor just to make sure you're not going to have any adverse reactions to this particular supplement. Another thing that I highly recommend is using magnesium. So magnesium is it's a mineral that oftentimes is depleted whenever we are under a high amount of stress. And this can also cause us to stay in high amounts of stress. And so if you take supplemental magnesium daily, you can reduce that effect. And basically you can get magnesium in a lot of different ways. I'll link in the description below how I personally ingest magnesium. I use a magnesium pill, but I also use magnesium sprays. So taking a magnesium salt bath, like if you take a nice hot soak, that's great, but we don't always have enough time for that. So what I do after my hot shower, I will spray myself with this it's a certain kind of spray, and it basically allows me to absorb that magnesium through my skin, which is actually far more efficient than through your digestion even. So I always spray that on after my hot shower, and it puts me in a great place for going to sleep. Another one that I would say to use with caution and use sparingly is melatonin. Melatonin is something that has been shown to be safe and effective. It's something that really there are very few side effects. However, it can be something that, even though people say it's not habit forming, I personally believe that it is. In my experience, whenever I used to use melatonin on a daily basis, and I'm talking every single night to make sure I could get to sleep, I noticed that if I didn't take it, my insomnia would be worse than ever, as if it was worse than it was before I started taking melatonin. So if you just know for a fact, man, I just have to get a good night's sleep tonight, I can't take any risks, okay, take a little melatonin. I would recommend just taking 1 milligram. Some people take up to 5 to 10 milligrams, and it's gonna vary depending on the person, but if you've not taken melatonin before, try to take a low dose and try not to take it on a very regular basis. Now, there are other herbs out there, hops, valerian, passion flower. There's a lot of other ones out there that might be good for you, but the ones that I've used that generally work for me the best are the ones that I just mentioned. So last night was the last night. The last night you're gonna get a terrible night's sleep. The last night you're gonna wake up the next morning and just have to crawl your way to the coffee just so you can make it throughout the day. You can get a really good night's sleep. You just have to understand how it works. And once you understand how it works, you can apply it. So coming back to that circadian rhythm thing that we talked about a little bit earlier, if you do this on a regular basis and you pick a time every night, this is when I'm gonna attempt to go to sleep, and I'm gonna make sure to wake up at this time every morning. If you keep doing that on a regular basis, your circadian rhythm will help hold that pattern in place. And when you get those two things working together, learning how to use your autonomic nervous system and supporting that circadian rhythm, if you get those two things together, you're gonna get a better night's sleep every night. There's all kinds of research that shows that not getting enough sleep leads to far more diseases, weight gain, depression, lack of focus. There's literally so many reasons that you should want to get this under control. So hopefully these things helped you. This is certainly how it works for me. I would love to know how these things work for you. If you wouldn't mind, let me know. Try it out tonight, try it out this week, try to get into a regular habit, and then let me know how it worked for you. Is there something that I missed, something else that maybe I should have added to this list? Maybe there's something I need to try myself. I'm always trying to get a better night's sleep. Please, leave a comment below and let me know. Guys, I hope this helps you get a better night's sleep. And I hope that you can come back healthier, happier, and feeling better tomorrow morning and all the mornings that are to come. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget to go out there and be kind to one another.